The United States military is a formidable force capable of utilizing its force around the globe with ease. However, with each conflict that spreads like wildfire, the crisis in Gaza, the Ukraine war, and China's rise in the Pacific, each day it becomes more and more difficult for it to use its force reasonably. The United States will need to expand its military force in order to have its existence be ensured. On top of the conflict already happening, the United States is continually becoming more distant from its allies and cannot rely on them for anything. Adding on top of this, the United States will be considered to be the police of the world and has to stop enemies from the globe from sowing chaos into the global order. Finally, the most difficult aspect is that there will be an entirely new angle for attacks to happen through cyber attacks. In this speech, I will discuss all these topics in depth and explain why and I believe the United States cannot be idle about its military buildup and why I support S2296, National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2026. Let's start from the top about how conflicts are rising around the globe like wildfire. Let's start with the hard issue, which is that wars have continually spread across the globe, and the United States is clearly unprepared for conflict at a global scale. The Ukraine war and the war in Gaza are proof that the United States imperialism has become incapable of stopping widespread conflict. As civilian death tolls rise in the conflict, China gains its strength to land a decisive strike on Taiwan. Nearly 70,000 people lay dead due to a preventable conflict. At 69,000, Rifle source that says over 69,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli-Hamas war so far, by PBS. When will these preventable conflicts cease? When will the Ukraine war end? A war that has nearly caused 1 million casualties in just a few British years, with tens of thousands of civilians being caught in the line of fire. A total of 53,006 civilian casualties, including 14,534 deaths, since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia in 2022 by the United Nations. The only way to solve these issues is through increasing military spending so the United States can fend off threats around the globe. Now we move on to why the United States cannot afford to fall behind militarily. The United States is unable to rely on its allies of the European Union and other allies across the Pacific that it has. This is because it's become dependent on other countries for defense is not a risk that can be afforded in today's political environment. Through our actions, the United States has become distant to its longtime allies, so it has become uncertain if they would still help us in our times of need. I do not blame them. The United States, long the guarantor of post-World War II liberal international order, has become unreliable and even a potentially dangerous partner. This is by Newsweek. Due to President Trump's continued erratic behavior towards allies, such as trying to buy Greenland, make Canada the 51st state, and much more, he's irreversibly damaged our relationship with our allies. This is what makes all the other chaos going in the world much more exemplified. Building up our military is a must if we want the United States to continue to remain a dominant superpower. The United States is too important to fall behind the world militarily. Now to move on to how the United States has a role as the police of the world. It is well known that the United States has military bases all over the world, which are incredibly useful to make sure the military force is incredibly easy to use without much hassle for the United States. Logistics that appear every day due to how the United States has over 800 military bases in other countries, which costs over $100 billion annually, a number that could be much higher depending on where you count the bases still open in Iraq or Afghanistan blocks. The United States' primary role in the world is as a peacekeeper or police force that makes sure other countries do not try and start wars against each other. Without the United States' dominance across the globe, the world would be a much different place. Wars pop up more frequently, and the stability of alliances would be severely diminished. A major counterpoint about increasing military expenditures in the United States is that the United States is already the country that spends the most money on military in the world. After all, in 2023, the United States military spent approximately $820.3 billion, or roughly 13.3% of the entire federal budget for that fiscal year. You see facts. However, no other country in the world has the same importance to the global order, no other country reaches the same heights as the United States, and that is the only way to ensure the fragile peace around the world. Finally, we move on to a threat that's only taken focus in recent years. Finally, we reach the most sinister of all the reasons why the United States needs a more effective military and larger budget. It is because there is a whole new angle to be attacked from, which is through cyber warfare. Cyber warfare can attack any electronic system and can be weaponized in order to gain access to secrets that should never be known. Leverage over infinite influential people and knowing your rooms before you make them are just a few of the ways that make cyber attacks so effective. It is no longer just one enemy in today's world and is ever-growing list of dangers and hazards. After all, it's not just Russia stealing secrets from the United States Department anymore, Casey said. It's everyone trying to steal all sorts of secrets from intellectual property and going after critical infrastructure. The list goes on and on. NPR. Cyber warfare is something that is much harder to fight than conventional war because we do not know how to handle it effectively. Improving the United States capabilities in this matter can only serve to help us. Now we must wrap this up. In conclusion, the United States days as a global superpower are numbered unless they increase the military budget, because the United States is unable to fight or support its allies in every war around the world. It is unable to rely on its allies for protection because it has continually damaged the relationships with them. The United States is busy acting as the world's police force, but is unable to adequately defend itself from attacks from the internet, where we are most vulnerable. In order to retain dominance, the United States must be prepared to take on the burden of such a large military. We must retain our allies to the best of our ability. We must prepare ourselves for conflict wherever it may find us. The United States must be ready to stand on its own, but we should try to make sure it doesn't have to. At the end of the day, the United States is a global superpower that tries to protect the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness of the people of the world. And hopefully it always will.